to AtCon 2, Mike Carbonaro, industry icon, comic and collectibles expert, showrunner, TV shows. Hollywood is here. Welcome to AtCon.
Hello, Hollywood. Hello, Ali. And hello, everybody else out there. How you all doing?
So an icon like you, Mike, I mean, is there anything you haven't done in the comic and collectibles world? I mean, why don't you give us some background? How did you get into this?
Icon meets Elite Con. I like that. That's good. Some background, sure. I mean, if you want to go to the origin story. Hi, by the way, this is my friend Ivy Supersonic. She's here to help me with all the technical things that I am so unaware of at times. But nevertheless, I buy millions of comic books. As a matter of fact, today I was just up in Rhode Island and I just emptied a truckload of comic books, a 16-foot truck. Did 450 miles in 24 hours.
I'm not surprised.
That was my truck. Yeah, so anyhow, the origin story. So I always liked comic books when I was a kid. I remember going to the church bazaar and paying 6 cents, half price of the 12-cent comic books. I remember buying Spider-Man number 6 in 1964. So I was making the numbers and creating them and, putting them in order. And then I would find I was missing numbers. So I still have the original check somewhere and where my parents signed it and I sent into Marvel Comic Books to try and get the back issues. And they sent me back, well, we can give you some, but we can't. And they referred me to these places. So I started looking around and my mom loved antiques. So she didn't drive, but we would take a bus and go everywhere. I mean, we would go antiquing in New Hope, Pennsylvania and upstate New York. And I would always be, you got any comic books? And I was always looking for stuff. And I started building my collection. Then I heard about this comic book convention in New York City in 1969. I went there. My cousin gave me his box, his milk crate full of comic books to sell for him. I put it down on the table. I remember the promoter, Phil Suling, came over. To hell with the mask. There you go. Okay, that's it. Ivy might be leaving at this moment, but nevertheless. Okay, so my cousin, Mr. Peter Avanti, gave me his box of DC comic books. And I put them on the floor. I started selling them. I don't know, a quarter, 50 cents. These are 1950s and 60s comic books. It was great. The promoter, Phil Suling, comes over and says, did you pay for a table? I said, no. He kicks my comic books literally down the stairs. I started crying. As it turned out, I became a dealer at every show after that. And me and Phil Suling and I became best of friends. He's one of the guys that I cherish his spirit. And I always honor Phil. He started in my mind. He was the man who made the New York City comic conventions. And the man who I always see when I run a convention and promote something. So, I always loved selling comic books. I paid for my way through high school and college by buying and selling comic books. And I'm still paying for my way through life. I wake up every day. I've got something to do. And there you go. I'm sure, you know the feeling, right? Every day we got comic books in our life. It's wonderful.
Definitely. And you're not kidding. So you brought up the New York convention. So let's go ahead and get into yours. So for those of you, people already know, I'm sure your t-shirt says it all. You are the Big Apple Comic-Con.
By the way, this was the last great show in New York City before this so-called pandemania, that pandemic. This was it in December. We had a wonderful one-day show at our new location, and we had it all set for April this year, and it was leading to be the biggest with Jim Lee as a headliner, and lo and behold, March comes along and everything stopped.
Right. Yeah.
It was one of the most horrible months in my life, and I'm sure for everybody else. I thought no one would ever buy a comic book. I thought no one, I would peek out my door and scrounge up some money to go get a pizza every night. I mean, it was just, don't talk to anybody, don't drive, don't do anything, which is my whole life. But, I've made it through. I've seen so many of my friends that have made it through. And I've really found out the people that were really real in my life. And the ones that talk to me, like my friend Ivy right here, and said, hello, how you doing? I'm like, I'm horrible, it's rotten. And I hang up the phone, but they would still call me every other day just to make sure. And, comic conventions are going to come back. But right now, I have no idea in many ways. I mean, we have a dozen different ideas of what to do going forward. And, I'm sure half of them will be incorporated and half of them will be thrown away. But, whether it's all going to be outdoor conventions, whether there's going to be an indoor convention, and what happens? Everyone has to go in the same direction. How does that exactly work? Do you have virtual buyers at the comic book convention? What's going to go on? Are the big spenders going to come to the conventions? I guess once the vaccine happens, people will feel more comfortable coming out and being part of the world again. But I think it's going to be a little different than what it was. I'm trying to think it through, and we're coming up with lots of wild ideas, whether I build a time tube that you walk through with the world of comics on one side, and the actual world on the other. We're working on a dozen different ideas, but it's going to be different.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be different. I mean, that's a big reason why we're here, right? So we just had the first AtCon in February, and then COVID-19 happened. And so I wasn't going to do another AtCon until next year. But with everything getting canceled, I mean, if only for entertainment alone, like I just felt people needed something. So it's so great to have you as a part of it, and we're going to get into that. But before we do, do you want to tell us anything about, anything about Big AppleCon specifically in the future?
Sure. I'll tell you how it started. But, you mentioned just for entertainment. And, people hear that and they go, you're making a profit. But, yeah, you have to be in business to make a profit. But you do want to do it because you love it. I know when 2001, when 9/11 happened, we had a show scheduled here in New York for that September. It happened on a Tuesday here in New York. I believe it was a Tuesday morning, and we had a show scheduled that weekend. We had to cancel that, of course, no one knew. Then we did an October show, a one-day show, which was a benefit. And we had a big show, a national show, and people were like, it's too soon, it's too soon. I said, no, we have to do it. And I remember people coming up to me and saying, thank God you did this. We needed it. So thank goodness for you doing what you're doing, and thank you for putting this together. Giving everybody a forum to enjoy, talk about what they love, buy and sell comic books, which we'll be doing all weekend, right? You got
that's right. All weekend. It's after the so let's
a T-shirt here, which I'll be changing into momentarily. Right
there, you go. You're coming up as a live vendor on Friday from 2 to 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on Elite Comics 11. So you want to give us a little preview of some of the stuff you're going to be selling?
Yeah, I don't have much of that, and we'll go back to it. But basically, anything you see that'll be in the background during the event is going to be for sale. I mean, I've got everything from Mars Attack sets to comic books that are graded, to Marvel paperbacks, to Marvel T-shirts, to books. I mean, just literally everything. It's going to be a cornucopia of the world of comic books and collectibles. I'll have the stuff that's worth thousands, and I'll have the stuff that's worth $10 or $20. There'll be something for everyone, I promise you. If you've ever been to my tables at the show, it's like one of the most interesting flea markets in the world that you can imagine. You go, how does this guy make money from all this stuff? But buried in the stuff is piles and piles of worthwhile collectibles. So there.
That's going to be a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to that. So before we leave your convention, though, like the Big Apple Comic Con, I want to ask you, so out of all the years you've been doing it, how many years has it been?
Okay, so that's one of the big things. And I'll go back to the origin, which is really interesting for a minute or two of Big Apple. But 25 years passed, and, this, again, with the pandemania for that month in March, I didn't know what to do, but I thought about it, and I remembered what a friend of mine said to me, and it was actually one of the original partners in Big Apple, Vincent Zurzolo from Metropolis Comics, whom I love. We always had a love-hate relationship, but I love him very much. I couldn't have done what I've done in the world of collectibles without him and many other people, and he's one of those people. But nevertheless, he said to me, Mike, I can't believe it, 25 years. And that resonated with me, and I thought about it. And then when this is a skip year now with 2020. So, and I thought about it, 25 passed and 25 more built to last. And my favorite comic books are Fantastic Four, number 48, 49, and 50, the trilogy of Galactus and the Silver Surfer. So I have to live for Big Apple number 48. I'll be 87, so I've got something to look forward to. And man, that's going to be insane. 25 more, that's the key. I'll go back to the origin of Big Apple. We started it. I mean, as I say, I always loved conventions. I actually have something back here that I created at the first convention that I did. It was called the Rolling Rock Show. It was a rock and roll amusement park in 1977. I built it in a hotel with streets and street signs, Bowie Boulevard, Floyd Freeway, Penny Lane, Aerosmith Alley. We had Rock Disco Dreamland. I had a time tunnel that I built projecting images from Johnny Rotten to Elvis. There was a guy selling joints in the time tunnel, so I knew it was a success. We renovated the New York Dolls. But I always liked conventions. But comic conventions, I always attended them. Then in 1996 in New York City, the Comic-Con that had been Suling had his shows until the 80s. Then Great Eastern Conventions took over with Fred Greenberg. And then at the last minute, he had a show at the New York Coliseum. The fire marshals didn't approve it. And at the last minute, he said, I can't do the show. We spent a few hours with him trying to find another location. Finally, he gave up. And we said, well, if you're giving up, we're going to do something. We found this church basement, St. Paul the Apostle. The guy said I was like a tornado. He said $2,000. They said, I'll take it. I whooshed in, threw the money at him. And for the next 3 days, we promoted. No idea what would happen. People were around the block. We let everybody in. It was a whoosh. True meaning of a whoosh. You saved the day. The church show must go on. And Vinny Zuzal, my good friend, said, how about we call it Big Apple? I said, yes, that's it. And so I was born. Then we came out of the church basement, went to the hotels, and now I'm at the New Yorker Hotel, and I've given them a deposit for the next 5 years. If we're all around that long, hopefully we will be in one way or another. The spirit of comics will continue. But that's the future. 25 past and 25 more, built to last. Big Apple.
Well, we are excited to see what the future holds. So that's great. So it's an understatement to say that you've been wheeling and dealing comics for years. So it's been, you know your stuff. So you want to give us any advice on kind of how to close a deal?
Ivy's known me about 20 years. When we met you, was I wheeling and dealing back then?
So it was 1996. Yeah, you were always. I was there for the first Comic-Con that you had. In the church.
Mm-hmm. The church basement. Yeah.
December 1996, your first show. Yeah, and you had me collecting the money.
There you go.
Yeah.
I've always done it. My dad and my mom really did help me a lot. They kind of groomed me. My dad liked real estate. He gambled away a fortune in a carting business to the mafia when I was a little kid. Then he started all over as a Fuller brush man. I went into real estate and got real successful in real estate. And then he passed on a lot of his wisdom in business to me. He taught me how to hold my money and put it in your pocket and put it in a row, and how to talk to people and say hello and enjoy the action and the process of the deal, to enjoy what you do. And, when you give somebody something, fine. You give them a deal, they can make a profit. That's great. Everybody wins. And I've been selling comic books, and so many dealers that are now in it have looked at me and said, well, if he can do it, I can do it. Many of them have done it, and they're quite successful. I've got a lot of friends. Thank goodness.
So speaking of watching you make deals, so I went on Amazon Prime and I saw your Comic Book America TV show, which is awesome. There's only one season up on Amazon, but maybe you can tell us where to see the rest of it.
Well, that was something I had started with Wizard, and I really kind of liked that one out of all we've been working and trying to find the right angle and the right way to present this world of comics and wheeling and dealing. And I've got a few ideas coming up which are going to blow people away. I'm actually filming some stuff on Sunday, right at the end of your show. To do it. So it's coming. But Comic Book America, it just came to me. It's obvious that's what it is. And we started going around doing stuff, but then kind of Wizard pulled back on a lot of the things they were doing. I would like to talk to them and possibly resurrect that as a maybe, a little snippet in whatever else we're doing, and have a kind of a cartoon comic book, like a 3 or 4 minute Comic Book America presents. Whatever. We go to a store, we go to a place, we go to a town, that kind of thing. So we'll see where that goes, but it's all going to happen, I guess. The world of collectibles. And I want to say, Ali, this is my first foray into the world, into the internet world, and everybody may rue the day. So everything I got garages, I've got deals, I've got stuff. It's all going to be sold, and here we go. Awesome. lot of fun, and I want to be a part of all your events going forward.
Well, and I'd love to have you. I'd love to work with you. So let me ask you this though. So for people who haven't watched it, on Comic Book America, you know, you're going around, you're making deals, and we kind of get, you know, you can watch you do it, some of it. But there's also some pop-ups and some interesting stories. And again, this is on Amazon Prime. People can watch it. One of the pop-ups said you once took a tumble trying to get into Studio 54. And I was wondering, did you ever actually get into Studio 54? Maybe you could tell us this backstory.
Yes, I did. But wow, what a way to go. So I still have this pin in my arm. So this is 1977, and they had this door policy. Sometimes you can get in and sometimes you can't. And that night I was with my girlfriend, and I don't know, could she get in and I couldn't, or I couldn't, she couldn't, but I knew a back entrance. So cool. We go through the back entrance, and oh yeah, we'd been drinking that night. So I look at the back, it was piled high with garbage. So we said, okay, well, there's the parking lot that's next to it. We can shimmy down and go through this back area. So we go to the second floor, no good. We went to the top floor, 5 floors up. So I see this rope. Now she's going first. And I go, no, let me go. Very chivalrous of me, right? So let me go. And this rope, it was a wire, like a telephone wire. I had no idea. I can still see it in my mind's eye. I start going, and literally, I didn't get more than 5 feet. It was a little wet. Boom, I hit. And I remember it was like that Batman show with the wham, pow. And I tried to move, and I remember my body not responding. And I said, man, it's going to be really hard to take it. That was my first thought. So the girl in the coat check room heard the thud. I stayed conscious, which the paramedics said kept me alive. Paramedics came, they couldn't get me out. They had to go over the garbage with the stretcher. They sawed off the bars of the coat check room, picked me up at the stretcher, and got me through the club and out the front door into the ambulance. I was in, surgery for hours. The next day, my parents found out about it by listening to the news. Discover does a number outside 54. That was page 3 of the Daily News. So wow. Yeah, I have at least a few more lives left, but they're going. So this is it. I'm ready to make it count.
Well, what a story, and it seems like you've recovered. So that's a heck of a story, and I'm glad we could hear it. So let's see. You've owned all kinds of stuff, I'm sure. Books, memorabilia. What's your most prized possession right now?
Wow. People ask me that. I was just asked that today by the guy whose collection I bought. And I say, you know what? What I buy is what I collect. Like today, I bought 10,000 mid-grade comic books, a collection of Hulks and Spider-Man and action and adventure and all that good 12 and 15 and 20 and 30 cent stuff. That's what I love right now. And tonight I'll take a pile of them, I'll throw them on the bed, I'll read some, I'll sleep with them, but then tomorrow I'll start processing to sell the stuff. So what I buy is what I collect. What I really, really like, and it goes back is, and this is a friend of mine, his name is Craig Yo, a friend of ours, Miss Ivy Supersonic. There you go. There you go. That's great. I got you. Craig Yo, and he wrote this book among many others, but this is one of my favorites. It's got all the Marvel pinups in it. Pinups. Super, super cool book. But anything having to do with the Mary Marvel stationery, the old T-shirts that they used to do, the Spider-Man poster, the little pencils, the ashtray from the Marvel Studios, any of that stuff I love. So that's the real cool, and the DC stuff too, whenever they would have the posters and the Batman stuff and, all the rare stuff that they'd sell in the stores, like even these records, right? They had the Marvel records that you could, the Journey into Mystery, right? And, it had come out only 3 years before, but nevertheless, they were marketing them with the comic book. And you listen to the record now, these books, if you pull them out of the packages and grade them, they can go anywhere from a few hundred to like thousands of dollars, depending upon the version of the comic. And these are the reprints. Yeah. So any of that kind of stuff I love, but what I buy is what I collect.
Awesome.
And I love it until I sell it.
It's a revolving door, and that's why your live session with us at AtCon 2 is going to be so fascinating, because it's going to be all kinds of stuff, not just comics, and you never know what's going to turn up with you. So
You've inspired me now just talking about it. So I'm going to pull out all the stops and try and go into the Mike Carbonaro archives and see what I can find.
Awesome.
Also, I wanted to say something for anybody listening. Ivy, could I get that T-shirt in those little yellow bags? If anybody's listening, maybe the first half dozen people that send you an email, we're going to send them a T-shirt from the Big Apple, the Christmas con, and we'll send them a bag to put it in, approved by the Big Apple Comic Con. There you go.
Okay.
And we'll also give them a free pass to the next Big Apple convention in New York in April if they want to come. So,
okay, so how do they win that? You want me to
go to mikecarbo@gmail.com, or they can email you, the first half dozen people, and we'll make sure to do that. mikecarbo@gmail, or do it correct to you, much better still.
Yeah, let's go ahead and let's make the rules be they email me.
Perfect. Exactly what I want.
comics11@gmail.com. Say you're accepting Mike's offer, and the first 6 emails I get, I'll let Mike know who they're from. There you go.
Fabulous. And I guess we got to give pair tickets to the show. We can't just make it one, so they get a pair to Big Apple. Now, that's another thing. I just go back to Apple. We have a date, and we're just working with the hotel now. It's going to be April 2021. You know, I could try and do something earlier, but damn, I don't want to do something and cancel it again because something else happened. I am hoping against hope that next year by April, things are going to start to get the gatherings and people and places and hotels is going to get more available and more responsive, and people will want to come. People all still want to come, but whether they will come, that's another story. I'm hoping I'm going to make it interesting and safe enough for everybody to come. So we're going to make that next year. April 2021 is our target date.
Awesome. Well, I mean, I hope everything works out. Regardless, we're going to have you as part of this community, and we're going to adapt, and we're going to get through it. So we'll just, we'll take it as it comes. But, hey, there's always a way to adapt, and we will. So.
One last thing. This world has always been the world of fantasy, but it's grounded in the reality, whether it's the artists, whether it's the actual commodity of a comic book that you read and enjoy, the buying and selling, the value of these certain comic books that have helped change people's lives over the years that they've collected and sold and bought, and the conventions that they go to and the places, the mean place they meet the people and the friends that they meet, and the opportunities that arise from this. And this world of fantasy helps us in our world of reality so much. So, I can't wait for that to come back. And yes, there will be conventions. Exactly how? I'm going to try and help make that a positive thing going forward in many different ways. And this virtual part, you and I will be talking. Who knows what ideas we can come up with going forward, right?
That's right. You can start on that goal today. I mean, on Friday when we go live, and you can offer up some awesome stuff. And we're going to, if anything, we're going to give people some entertainment. They're going to really enjoy it. And it's so great to have you. I just want to thank you, Mike, for spending time with us. And it's been awesome. It's awesome to have you on board.
Is Ivy Supersonic?
Thank you. Are you going to be at the live sale?
Ivy, there you go. But yeah, man, I'm looking forward to your show. Everybody come down and check it out. Oh, wait, I got it. I said I was going to change T-shirts. Here we go. Let's get it on. Okay, we got it. I keep them occupied for a second there.
So if anybody buys,
and we're ready. We got it.
Love it.
So there you go. Looking forward to everything. Thank you so much for the interview. We can really delve into this another time, and maybe we can make this every month. We could do a little something about conventions and the world of shows and all the other conventions that we go to, and I could do a little bit of a snippet at some shows and show people as they start to reopen up again in the world around us.
That's awesome. I love the idea. But one last time, so Mike's going to be live selling stuff at AtCon 2 on Elite Comics 11 on Instagram. It's going to be this Friday, and it's from 2 to 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So thanks everyone for watching, AtCon 2, and stay tuned to Elite Comics 11 this weekend, and there's going to be awesomeness for 4 days. It's going to be nuts.
Neil said a splendid time is guaranteed for all.
That's right. Thanks so much, Mike. Thank you, Ivy.
Thank you so much, everybody. Cheers.
All right.
Bye, Ali. See you later.